Chapter 22, The Next Move. When Nancy Drew opened her eyes the following morning, the sun was streaming in at her bedroom window. A quick glance at the clock on her dresser disclosed that it was 15 minutes past 9. "Horrors!" she cried, springing from the bed. "Why didn't Floretta or Rosemary awaken me?" She was provoked with herself that she had overslept on a morning when she had so much to do. Although she had gone through a trying ordeal the night before, she was none the worse for the experience, and arose feeling refreshed and eager for what the day might bring forth. Hastily dressing, she hurried downstairs to find that breakfast was waiting. "You have no idea how sorry I am," she apologized contritely. "You shouldn't have waited for me." "It doesn't matter in the least," Rosemary told her quietly, as the three sat down to the breakfast table. "This may be the last breakfast we'll ever eat here." "Why, what do you mean?" Nancy glanced up quickly and noticed the sad expression on the faces of the Turnbull sisters. "Nathan Gombet was here this morning," Rosemary explained. Nancy's spoon clattered from her hand. "He was here this morning?" she asked in astonishment. "Yes, he came to repeat the offer he made us some time ago for the house." "That wasn't an offer. It was a steal." "But in the light of what has happened here, we can't expect to get much for the house." "You didn't sell?" Nancy questioned anxiously. "We have made up our minds to give up the house. Yes, we accepted his offer and told him that if he came back this afternoon, we would sign the papers." "Then you haven't signed anything yet?" "Not yet," Rosemary responded listlessly. "Oh, I'm so glad!" Nancy cried impulsively. "If you had, it would have spoiled everything. There is no need for you ever to leave your home," she added impressively. "You see, I've solved the mystery at last." "You've solved the mystery?" Floretta demanded eagerly. "You know what became of our silver urn? Oh, it's too good to be true." "I can't lay hands on your urn this minute," Nancy told her, "but I think I can get it within 24 hours. "Don't keep us in suspense," Rosemary begged. "Tell us everything. Is there really a ghost in our house?" Nancy laughed. "Nathan Gombet is the ghost, just as I suspected." "Are you certain?" Rosemary asked a trifle doubtfully. "He has been our neighbor for years, and he offered to buy our house." "That's just why he has been trying to frighten you, because he wanted to force you to sell at his price." "I always thought Nathan was mean, but I had no idea he would do a thing like that," Floretta said. "Have you really the proof that he is the guilty party? Unless you have, we wouldn't dare accuse him." "I'll show you my proof," Nancy declared. "Come with me, and I think you'll be convinced." Hurrying to the kitchen, she secured a supply of candles and then led the way to the attic. Wonderingly, Rosemary and Floretta followed. Nancy flung open the door and permitted the Turnbull sisters to enter first. "I have discovered a hidden stairway," she informed them, as she flashed her candle in the direction of the old highboy. Rosemary and Floretta took one look and gasped in astonishment. The secret stairway was plainly revealed, for the trap door was open, just as Nancy had left it the night before. "Who ever dreamed of a hidden staircase in our house?" Floretta demanded in excitement. "There were rumors to that effect," Rosemary admitted. but I never believed them. Just think how many times we've been in this attic and never discovered the trap door." "It was very cleverly hidden," Nancy told them. "I searched and couldn't find it myself from the outside." "Where does the stairway lead?" Floretta asked, peering into the dark recess. "It leads to a tunnel which connects the mansion with Nathan Gombet's house." "And he's been entering our house nightly by means of this staircase?" Floretta questioned. "I'm convinced of it." "But how did you ever make the discovery?" Rosemary broke in admiringly. Nancy then told the details of her harrowing experience in the Gombet residence. She ended by showing them the bump on her head, which had been caused by falling down the stone steps. "You might have been killed," Floretta shuddered. "And imagine going through that passage all alone in the dead of the night. It must have been terrible. I never could have done it." "I'll admit I didn't enjoy the experience," Nancy replied. "But it was the only way to solve the mystery." Rosemary, who had been studying the entrance to the staircase meditatively, now turned to Nancy with a puzzled frown. "There's one thing that isn't clear to me. I don't see how Nathan took our silver urn from the library and managed to escape without being caught. In order to reach this staircase, it would be necessary for him to pass our bedrooms. Surely we would have heard him." "That puzzles me too," Nancy admitted. "But I have a theory which I intend to investigate this morning. I believe there must be another opening to this staircase on the floor below." "Perhaps there's one in every room," Floretta speculated. "It wouldn't surprise me to find one on every floor," Nancy stated. "But we searched thoroughly," Rosemary protested. "We went over every inch of the walls." "That's true, but I believe it will be easier to find the openings from the inside. I intend to enter the staircase again and try to find them. Last night I remember that several flights of stairs branched off from one landing. I want to find out where they lead. Do you want to go with me?" "Certainly," Rosemary declared promptly. "I have a great curiosity to see what the stairway is like." "It's so old, we must be careful not to fall," Nancy warned her. "One of the steps has rotted away entirely." As she spoke, she stepped through the opening into the passageway. Rosemary boldly followed, but Floretta hesitated uncertainly. "What if the trapdoor should fall shut?" she questioned anxiously. "I'm sure it won't," Nancy reassured her. "But even if it does, I can open it again. See, here's the hidden spring." She held her candle so that the beam illuminated the metal ring which controlled the door. Still, Floretta hesitated. "Do hurry," Rosemary commanded impatiently. "There's no danger." Floretta folded her skirts tightly about her to prevent them from brushing against the dusty walls, and then timidly descended the first step. "I don't like it," she choked. "The dust is terrific and the cobwebs. Ugh!" Nevertheless, she did not turn back. Cautiously, Nancy Drew led the way down the wooden stairs, taking care to avoid the broken step. At the landing, she selected one of the passages which led in another direction and descended the stairs until she came to another landing. As she flashed her light about, her keen eyes caught the gleam of a metal ring. She seized upon it eagerly. "This must open a panel," she cried in excitement. As she pulled upon the ring, the wall fell away, and to her amazement she stepped into a closet which was filled with garments. "Where are we?" she demanded. "Why, we must be in my room," Floretta gasped. "Now I understand what became of my silk dresses and the diamond pin. It's clear Nathan must have entered the room by means of the secret panel in the closet," Rosemary observed. "But how did the canaries get in?" Floretta demanded. "They might have flown through the passage and entered the room when the panel was open," Nancy suggested. "That's very likely," Rosemary agreed. "It's no wonder we thought the walls had ears. It's my opinion Nathan has been hiding in the staircase listening to everything we say. It frightens me to think of it. I feel confident it was Nathan Gombet who sent me the threatening letter advising me not to come to this house," Nancy declared. "Can you remember whether or not you read my letter aloud after it arrived?" "Yes, we did," Floretta responded quickly. "And we were in this very bedroom, too. Nathan must have been listening and heard every word." "It's clear enough now," Rosemary said caustically. "That man thought he could frighten us from our home. To think we nearly sold the mansion to him." "Shall we investigate the other passages?" Nancy questioned. "Our time is getting short, and I'm eager to find out where they lead." "By all means," Rosemary agreed. Without taking time to close the panel after them, the three descended into the hidden stairway to the landing below, and there selected another flight of wooden stairs. "We must be going down to the first floor now," Floretta observed, as they cautiously descended. "Watch out for the step!" Nancy, who was ahead, called out in warning. "There's another broken one just ahead." The three avoided the hole in the flooring and continued down the staircase. At last, Nancy came to the end of the passage, but to her surprise could find no hidden panel. In vain she flashed her candle about over the walls, and Floretta and Rosemary aided in the search. "That's funny," Nancy murmured in perplexity. "I'm sure there must be an opening here somewhere." She glanced anxiously at her candle. It would not last many more minutes, and unless she wished to be plunged into darkness, she must return to the kitchen for another supply. Floretta and Rosemary had used the last of their stock. The passage at this particular place was very narrow, and so low that a person could not stand upright without striking the top wall. Tiring of the stooped position which she had been forced to endure for several minutes, Nancy straightened. Her head struck the top of the passageway. "Ouch!" she exclaimed. To her astonishment, she heard a strange clicking noise. "I believe I've discovered the panel," she cried eagerly. While Rosemary held the candle, she examined ceiling overhead and pushed upon it with all her strength. To her surprise, the wall gave way easily and lifted up. Nancy pushed the obstruction out of the way and thrust her head and shoulders through the opening. Curiously, she gazed about. She had come up through the sofa seat in the library. "My word!" she exclaimed. "No wonder I never found the secret panel in this room. Who would have thought of looking in the sofa?" She pulled herself up through the opening and then assisted Floretta and Rosemary, who were less athletic. "Mercy! What next?" Floretta gasped as she sank down into a chair and tried to regain her breath. "Imagine living in this house all these years and never discovering anything wrong with that sofa," Rosemary commented. I see everything now, Nancy said slowly. That broken step just before we came to the opening. Nathan must have fallen and cried out in alarm. And I feel certain there must be another opening in the sofa in the drawing room. I'm going to find out. Darting into the next room, she jerked the cushions from the sofa and lifted the baseboards. As she had suspected, there was an opening similar to the one in the library, which was just large enough for a person to squeeze through. That's how Nathan stole the silver urn, Florette observed. He came up through the sofa seat in the library. How stupid of me not to think of looking there before, Nancy said. Stupid? I think you've done extremely clever detective work, as it is. Why, we've lived here for years and never dreamed of a hidden staircase. How shall we ever repay you for all you have done? Oh, let's not think about that now, Nancy said hastily, glancing at her watch. There's so much yet to be done. We must bring Nathan Gombet to justice if we can. I agree with you there, Florette cried feelingly. Go and call the police. We want him locked up. Nancy started toward the door. If he has an inkling of what we have discovered, he'll try to escape, she threw back over her shoulder. She hurried to the garage at the rear of the house and quickly backed her roadster out upon the drive. Rosemary and Florette, not to be left behind, crowded in beside her. Oh, do you think the police will be able to capture him? Florette asked tremulously. I'll never feel safe again until I know he's behind prison bars. I'm afraid we shouldn't have taken the time we did to investigate those passages, Nancy returned quietly. But I wanted to be absolutely certain that Nathan Gombet was guilty before I turned him over to the authorities. With that, she shifted gears, and the car roared down the Cliffwood Road to disappear in a cloud of dust. End of chapter 22.